one more call. Bright, young, well-dressed sales professionals gathered in the auditorium at Citi Field for what my sales gravy team calls Jeb Unplugged. It's a session in which sales professionals and sales leaders hurl questions and challenges at me, and I answer whatever comes my way. No script, no slides, and no preparation. I enjoy unplugged sessions. It's my favorite way to teach. For 3 hours, they hit me with hard questions. And when it was all over, they let me go to a game. And I'm an unapologetic fan of baseball. During the game, something kept tugging at me about the questions they'd asked. There was a pattern there that I just couldn't put my finger on. But as I was walking out of the stadium that evening, it hit me. Almost all the questions thrown at me that afternoon were about how to deal with objections, what to say, what to do, and how to respond. When I thought about it, most of the questions brought to me by salespeople from all walks of life were in one form or another about objections. I just hadn't been paying attention. The sudden revelation struck me like a lightning bolt, one of those aha moments that sets you on fire. The next morning, I was up at 5, staring at the clock and waiting for 8 so I could call Shannon Vargo at my publisher, John Wiley & Sons. I was so fired up for this book that I hadn't slept all night. It occurs to me as I say this that I don't actually know Shannon's job title. Suffice to say that she's a big cheese at Wiley who makes decisions about what gets published and what does not, and she's cool because she takes my calls. When Shannon answered the phone, I breathlessly pitched my idea for this book and why we should push the other book back, even though it was already on the publishing schedule. I was talking so fast that I'm sure I sounded like a squirrel on meth. When I finished, there was silence on the other end of the line, and I braced for the objection. But she said yes. She loved the idea. After a brief second of elation and a fist pump, I panicked. I've got some impulse control issues, and in my exuberance for the idea, I hadn't considered that to replace the book I was already working on, I'd only have 4 months to write Objections. The pain was worth it. My exuberance for Objections did not and has not waned. I fell in love with this book because it finally tells the real truth about objections, where objections come from, and about how and why you respond to objections the way you do. This is the most comprehensive book on sales objections ever recorded. It's different from every book that has ever been published on the subject. Rather than treating objections like a small piece of a greater puzzle, the objection is finally the star of the show. And I hope that you'll love this book as much as I do. Chapter 1. Asking, the most important discipline in sales. Go for no. Andrea Waltz. Richard left 71 voicemail messages asking for an appointment. He sent 18 emails. He stalked me on LinkedIn. He managed to get me to answer the phone on at least 3 occasions, but I brushed him off each time. He also called and wrote and connected on social media with each of the key stakeholders in my organization. For 5 months, Richard asked and asked and asked for an opportunity to demonstrate his software solution. And for 5 months, he got nowhere, until he finally called me at the right time. It was in May, 5 months after his first attempt to set an appointment. When I answered the phone, I recognized his voice. I almost brushed him off again, but since I didn't have anything else scheduled and he'd been so persistent, I felt a subconscious obligation to give him a chance. Richard wasted no time getting me to agree to a demo. His software as a service solution was impressive, and it did solve one of our training delivery problems. I was transparent about how much I liked what he'd shown me, and less than an hour later, he asked for my commitment to buy. Without thinking, I threw out an objection. Richard, it looks like a great program and I like it, but I'm going to need to discuss it with my team before we commit to anything. I know some of them have advocated for your platform, but my schedule is packed and getting everyone up to speed and using it is going to be a distraction in the short term. I want to be sure we are all aligned before making this investment because I don't want to buy yet another software program that everyone is excited about but never uses. Richard responded by relating to my situation and clarifying my concern. Jeb, it sounds like you've been burned before with software subscriptions that go unused. I get it. It feels like